Lawrence Taylor of the New York Giants was probably the most intimidating, the most fearsome defensive player in the history of the NFL.
Lawrence Taylor is one of the most feared names in NFL history. But away from football, Taylor's life took a disturbing turn.
Former New York Giants football linebacker Lawrence Taylor was arrested during a drug sting in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina last night.
A superstar linked to a crime that stunned the entire league.
Former football star Lawrence Taylor was sentenced on Tuesday to 6 years probation for sexual misconduct.
So, this is what happened and why NFL legends believe Lawrence Taylor deserves to die. Who is Lawrence Taylor? Lawrence Julius Taylor was a man who seemed almost impossible to contain. Born on February 4, 1959, in Williamsburg, Virginia, Taylor was the first of 3 sons to Clarence and Iris Taylor. His father worked as a dispatcher at the Newport News shipyards, while his mother was a schoolteacher. From the very beginning, Taylor displayed a restless energy that bordered on dangerous. He was a challenging child, his mother would later recall. As a youth, Taylor focused on baseball, playing catcher, and didn't even begin playing organized football until he was 15. He didn't play in high school until his junior year, and even then, he wasn't heavily recruited. Yet something about his raw athleticism and fearlessness caught the attention of college scouts. After graduating from Lafayette High School in 1977, Taylor went on to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where he wore number 98 and slowly began shaping the identity that would terrify offensive lines for over a decade. Originally recruited as a defensive lineman, Taylor saw limited action his freshman year, mostly on special teams. His sophomore season was plagued by injuries, but by 1979, he transitioned to linebacker, a move that would redefine the position forever. His junior year, he recorded 95 tackles, 5 sacks, 7 forced fumbles, and an interception. In his senior season, Taylor broke records with 16 sacks and 22 tackles for loss. He was named a consensus All-American and Atlantic Coast Conference Player of the Year, an honor few defensive players ever received. Coaches marveled at his reckless intensity. North Carolina assistant Bobby Cale remembered, as a freshman playing on special teams, he'd jump a good 6 or 7 feet in the air to block a punt, then land on the back of his neck. He was reckless, just reckless. UNC later retired his jersey, a testament to the impact he had in just a few short years. Early NFL impact. In 1981, the NFL draft changed forever when the New York Giants selected Taylor with the 2nd overall pick. Giants GM George Young boldly claimed Taylor would surpass legends like Dick Butkus, and for a league accustomed to cautious defensive play, Taylor was a hurricane. His talent was evident from day one. At training camp, teammates joked that Taylor's locker should be a phone booth. Phil Simms, the Giants quarterback, recalled, "On the pass rush, he's an animal. He's either going to run around you or over you. With his quickness, he's full speed after 2 steps." Taylor's NFL debut on September 6, 1981, was relatively quiet, a 24-10 loss to the Eagles, but soon his dominance became impossible to ignore. By the end of his rookie season, he had recorded 9.5 sacks and was named both NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year, the only player in history to achieve both in a single season. Taylor's impact went beyond stats. He forced coaches and offenses to rethink their strategies. Joe Gibbs, coach of the Washington Redskins, famously said, "We had to try in some way to have a special game plan just for Lawrence Taylor." Now, you didn't do that very often in this league, but I think he's one person that learned the lesson the hard way. We lost ball games. By 1984, the Giants were a dominant force. Taylor recorded 4 sacks in a single September game and led a defense that was reshaping the NFL. He became a key part of the Big Blue Wrecking Crew, a unit that terrified quarterbacks and offensive coordinators alike. His career was marked by explosive plays, including the unforgettable sack in 1985 that ended Joe Theismann's career with a compound fracture to his right leg. Taylor, distraught over the incident, screamed for paramedics to attend to Theismann immediately, insisting it was an accident, but the memory of that play would forever be etched into NFL lore. The mid-80s. The 1986 season solidified Taylor as the most feared defensive player in NFL history. Recording 20.5 sacks, he became one of only 2 defensive players to win the NFL MVP award and the only unanimous selection. He led the Giants to a 14-2 season and ultimately to victory in Super Bowl 21. Yet even at the pinnacle of his career, Taylor admitted to feeling unfulfilled. He stated, "When the Super Bowl was over, everyone was so excited, but by then I felt deflated. I'd won every award, had my best season, and finally won the Super Bowl. I was on top of the world, right? So, what could be next? Nothing. The thrill is the chase to get to the top, and then nothing. By his second NFL season, he had begun using drugs. Initially clever enough to pass drug tests by submitting teammates' urine, his addiction escalated rapidly. At the peak of his habit, he spent thousands a day on drugs and women. His personal life became erratic. He once attended a team meeting still handcuffed from the night before after a bizarre encounter with women testing a new kind of restraining device. His behavior was extreme, and yet he remained untouchable on the field. By 1988, the NFL intervened. Taylor failed a second drug test and was suspended for 30 days. He entered rehab but returned to dominate, recording 15.5 sacks that season, even while playing through a torn pectoral muscle. Head coach Bill Parcells would later call one game, where Taylor played despite extreme injury, the greatest game I ever saw. Yet these same years planted seeds of personal destruction that would later overshadow his professional legacy. The mid-90s WWE. The mid-1990s were a difficult period for WWE. While the company still featured genuine in-ring excellence from stars like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, it struggled to find its identity after the end of the Hulkamania era boom and before fully embracing what would become the Attitude Era. That uncertainty opened the door for a celebrity to step into the spotlight. That celebrity was New York Giants legend Lawrence Taylor, who faced Bam Bam Bigelow in the main event. At the time, the decision was controversial, and even today many fans dismiss it outright. His entire WWE career consisted of a single match, and he never worked the road or became a regular presence. Still, separating the performer from the person reveals a storyline and match that were far stronger than they're often remembered. The feud began at the 1995 Royal Rumble. Bam Bam Bigelow, alongside Tatanka as part of Ted DiBiase's $1 Million Corporation, failed to win the vacant WWE Tag Team Championships, suffering a humiliating loss when Bigelow was pinned by the much smaller 1-2-3 Kid. Frustrated and embarrassed, Bigelow later encountered Lawrence Taylor at ringside, laughing with his entourage. The decision actually helped the story. Bigelow was portrayed as powerful but vulnerable, still dangerous, but no longer unbeatable. That vulnerability made it believable that Taylor, despite being a non-wrestler, could survive against him. WWE further supported the angle by showing Taylor training with Diesel, giving him credibility while also allowing Diesel to pass along star power, even as his own world title match was pushed out of the main event. When WrestleMania 11 arrived, the match exceeded expectations. Bigelow delivered arguably the most high-profile performance of his career, expertly playing the monster heel while guiding Taylor through the match and selling his offense convincingly. Taylor, for his part, showed surprising athleticism and intensity, proving himself one of the most capable one-time celebrity performers WWE has ever had. With Pat Patterson acting as guest referee, the $1 Million Corporation backing Bigelow, and a group of NFL stars escorting Taylor, the spectacle felt worthy of a WrestleMania main event. While Lawrence Taylor's personal choices have undeniably damaged his legacy, and Bigelow's momentum was reportedly undercut soon after, their feud remains better than its reputation. Lawrence Taylor's downfall. After retiring in 1993, Taylor attempted to transition into civilian life. He launched All Pro products, which initially soared in value, but he was defrauded by stock traders, losing hundreds of thousands. He also faced legal troubles, pleading guilty to filing a false tax return in 1997. His ventures into television and film, appearing in Any Given Sunday, The Sopranos, and The Waterboy, offered fame but little stability. Thus, Lawrence Taylor's post-football life was marked by a series of legal entanglements that reflected a continuing pattern of personal struggles and reckless behavior. Even decades after dominating the NFL as one of the most feared linebackers in history, Taylor's off-field actions repeatedly drew public and legal scrutiny. Early incidents. In 2009, Taylor's personal troubles resurfaced in a significant way. On November 8th, he was arrested in Miami-Dade County, Florida, for leaving the scene of an accident after striking another vehicle with his Cadillac Escalade. This was not an isolated incident. Taylor had committed a similar offense in 1996 when he totaled his Lexus in a single-car accident and left the scene, claiming at the time that he did not believe the law required reporting a one-car accident. In 2009, he was released released on a $500 bond, and the other driver later filed a civil lawsuit seeking $15,000 in damages. These incidents underscored a recurring pattern of recklessness and disregard for legal responsibilities that would continue to follow Taylor in the years to come. The case. Taylor's legal troubles took a far more serious and disturbing turn in May 2010 when he was arrested at a Holiday Inn in Montebello, New York. The charges were severe: felony third-degree statutory for allegedly engaging in intercourse with a 16-year-old girl, and third-degree patronization for allegedly paying the underage girl $300 for sex. The girl told investigators that her pimp, 36-year-old Rashid Davis, had instructed her to tell Taylor she was 19, a statement Taylor corroborated. Davis was later charged with federal child trafficking. Initially, Taylor pleaded not guilty to the charges, which also included endangering the welfare of a child. Police reported that they were led to Taylor's hotel room by the 16-year-old, who was a runaway forced into prostitution. Taylor posted $75,000 bail shortly after his arrest. In December of that year, his attorney, Arthur Aidala, sought to have the charges dismissed, arguing that Taylor's Fourth Amendment rights were violated during the hotel search that yielded physical evidence, including condoms. The court denied this request. In March 2011, however, Taylor accepted a plea agreement. Hall of Fame linebacker Lawrence Taylor appeared in court dressed in black from head to toe and pleaded guilty to 2 misdemeanor charges: soliciting a prostitute and misconduct. Since the victim was only 16, by law, she was not old enough to consent. In court, Taylor admitted under oath that he had sex with the girl and acknowledged that DNA evidence linked him to the act. "She told me she was 19, Taylor explained. The plea deal resulted in a sentence of 6 years probation, and Taylor was required to register as a sex offender. He was also ordered to pay $1,300 in fees. State Supreme Court Justice William Kelly determined that Taylor would be classified as a low-risk, Level 1 sex offender, a designation reflecting a mandatory legal requirement rather than a label as a predator. In other words, Aidala made clear that Taylor would not be considered a predator and sought to have his probation transferred to Florida, where Taylor now resided. Prosecutors emphasized Taylor's cooperation in broader human trafficking investigations, noting that he had assisted authorities in multiple jurisdictions. "Lawrence Taylor was the end user in the market that creates more traffickers," said one prosecutor. "They need to be held accountable. It's a long fall from grace." Another prosecutor praised Taylor's assistance in federal investigations. Despite the gravity of the charges, Taylor chose not to speak to reporters, while his attorney and business manager expressed hope that he could move forward. Continuing struggles. Even after resolving the statutory case, Taylor's legal issues and personal turmoil persisted. By 2016, he was living in Pembroke Pines, Florida, but trouble followed closely. In June of that year, Taylor's wife was arrested for domestic violence after allegedly striking him in the back of the head with an unknown object. Within the next few years, Taylor's marriage ended in divorce, a personal upheaval that coincided with further legal complications. In May 2017, Taylor drew media attention for auctioning off the Vince Lombardi mini-statue he had received for his Super Bowl XFI win, a move widely interpreted as a sign of financial or personal strain. Shortly after, he pleaded guilty to driving under the influence of alcohol following a September 2016 crash into a stopped police car in Palm Beach County, Florida. Breathalyzer tests taken 5 hours after the crash measured Taylor's blood alcohol content at DAO-82 and DAO-84, both slightly above the Florida legal limit of DAO-80. Taylor's obligations as a registered offender continued to complicate his life. In December 2021, he was arrested for failing to report a new address, a requirement under his sex offender registration. He was released after posting a $500 bail and attributed the oversight to his recent divorce. The issue reemerged in July 2024, when Taylor was arrested once again for failing to properly register a new residence in Florida. After turning himself in, he was released without bail but faced criminal charges. Taylor's attorney characterized the incident as a misunderstanding and indicated that he would plead not guilty. Teammates comment on the case. Giants owner John Mara addressed Lawrence Taylor's arrest on charges by describing the situation as very sad and disheartening, according to a report from ESPN. Mara made his comments while attending a ceremonial event in which the New York Giants and New York Jets formally submitted their bid to host a Super Bowl to the NFL. Speaking briefly to the website, Mara said, "It is obviously very sad and disheartening, but beyond that, I don't want to make any further statement on it." He declined to elaborate, signaling that the organization would not publicly comment further as the legal process unfolded. Mara's remarks marked the first official response from the Giants organization following Taylor's arrest, highlighting the somber tone surrounding the situation while maintaining a cautious public stance. Also present at the new Meadowlands Stadium was former Giants running back Ottis Anderson, who offered words of support for his former teammate. Anderson urged patience and restraint, emphasizing the importance of understanding the full scope of the situation before drawing conclusions. Anderson said, "Before you voice your opinion, let's get all the facts. We don't know." In moments like these, former teammates tend to rally around one another, explaining that Taylor was already facing enough pressure. In a situation like this, any player knows that his former teammate has his back. He is dealing with so much that you just try not to be another distraction to him, but he knows we got his back. Taylor's agent, Mark Lepselter, had previously stated that the Giants organization continued to support Taylor, one of the most iconic players in franchise history, despite the serious nature of the allegations. Moving on, former teammate and fellow Pro Football Hall of Famer Harry Carson publicly demonstrated his support for Taylor during the legal proceedings. Carson, a longtime defensive leader for the New York Giants, was among those from Taylor's football past who stood by him as the case moved through the courts. In January 2011, when Taylor appeared in court to plead guilty to misdemeanor charges of misconduct and patronizing a prostitute, Carson was present in the courtroom. Upon Taylor's arrival, Carson greeted him with a supportive handshake, a gesture that was widely interpreted as a sign of solidarity during a difficult moment. Reports at the time described Taylor's arrest as casting a heavy shadow over his extended Giants family, with Carson being one of several former teammates associated with offering quiet backing rather than public condemnation. The situation underscored the complicated emotions within the organization and its alumni, many of whom struggled to reconcile Taylor's legendary on-field legacy with the seriousness of the charges he faced. President Trump and Lawrence Taylor. President Donald Trump's decision to invite former New York Giants linebacker Lawrence Taylor to the White House has generated significant controversy and renewed criticism across social media and political circles. The appearance immediately drew attention due to Taylor's criminal history and the broader political context surrounding the event. Newsweek reported that it contacted the White House for comment regarding Taylor's invitation, sending an inquiry via email outside of regular business hours. As of publication, no official response had been provided. But why does that matter? Well, Taylor has previously appeared alongside Trump at campaign rallies, making his association with the former president a matter of public record. However, his participation in a White House event comes at a particularly sensitive moment, as Trump faces mounting scrutiny over his past relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted offender who died in a federal jail cell in 2019 while awaiting trial on trafficking charges. The controversy is further intensified by ongoing public backlash over the Trump administration's refusal to release additional records related to Epstein, despite earlier commitments to transparency. Trump has attempted to deflect questions about Epstein, at times expressing frustration that the topic continues to dominate public discourse. Earlier this month, Trump told reporters that Epstein had stolen Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's most prominent accusers, from Trump's Mar-a-Lago club, where she worked during the summer of 2000 at the age of 16. That statement raised new questions, including from Giuffre's family, about the extent of Trump's knowledge of Epstein's activities, particularly given that Trump continued to associate with Epstein after that period. So, Trump stated that he did not know why Epstein was recruiting young employees from Mar-a-Lago and said that learning of it prompted him to cut ties with Epstein and ban him from the club. Now, let's get back to Lawrence Taylor. During the event, Trump signed an executive order re-establishing the presidential presidential fitness test for American children and announced plans to reinvigorate a national sports council. The initiative was framed as an effort to promote physical fitness, athletic participation, and healthy lifestyles among young people. Taylor joined Trump in the Roosevelt Room, alongside several other high-profile figures from the sports world, including professional golfer Bryson DeChambeau and Kansas City Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker. Those present were formally introduced as members of the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. So, Taylor's presence at the White House quickly sparked backlash online, with critics questioning the appropriateness of featuring him at an event focused on children's fitness. During the executive order signing, Taylor briefly addressed the audience, saying, "I'm just proud to be on this team. I don't know why, I don't know what we're supposed to be doing, but I'm here to serve and I'm here to serve you. So I'm going to do the best I can for as long as I can." Trump, speaking about Taylor, praised his football legacy and personal relationship with him. Acknowledged to be the greatest defensive player in the history of the NFL, a friend of mine for a long time. Too long, right, Lawrence? Trump added, "Lawrence Taylor, he's an incredible guy and just been my friend a long time. Knew him forever." Criticism continued to mount online. Social media personality Brian Krasenstein wrote on X, "Trump literally had Lawrence Taylor, a registered sex offender who a 16-year-old, featured at the White House as he announced his President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition initiative for kids, calling the move sickening." Julie Roginski, a former Fox News and CNBC contributor and co-founder of the nonprofit Lift Our Voices, also weighed in, writing, "Lawrence Taylor is a registered sex offender who was arrested for assaulting a young girl. Someone needs to ask MAGA why Trump hangs out with so many child predators." Also, MSNBC host Chris Hayes echoed those concerns, posting, "On the day Virginia Giuffre's family is speaking out about how survivors are treated like trash, here's who's in the White House." Tara Setmayer, a former Republican communications director, added her own criticism, writing, "Trump sure does like to hang out with offenders caught with underage girls. Add Lawrence Taylor to the list." Let us know your thoughts in the comments section, and before you leave, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to NFL Rivals so you don't miss the next ones.